funny at all. And then he went on his way. We had another incident when Leanne was hosting. Again, another comedian, self-proclaimed, got up, did an Alex Jones impersonation during our live show. We let it happen. You know, it was vaguely funny. We didn't get aggressive. We didn't escalate the situation. We just rode it out. But of course, you know, when leftist comedians crash our show, it's hilarious and we've been trolled. That's perfectly okay. That's fine. That's acceptable. But when we do it, we're rude, we're arrogant, we're instigating. Now, again, Alex's demeanor, completely friendly, not aggressive at any point. The moment that Cenk Uygur escalates it is when he's presented with this shirt with Bill Clinton's face on it and the word rape, which, by the way, is going to be the new big hot Hillary for prison style t-shirt. But we're going to get more into this after the break. We're going to pick this apart and show you, expose you exactly how it was the Young Turks and Cenk Uygur that escalated this and not us. And it's making them look really very bad. We'll be back live. So we're talking about the confrontation between InfoWars, between Alex Jones and the Young Turks last night. And again, this is the RNC. Everybody's packed tightly together. Everybody is in each other's space. There are ambushes, there are confrontations, there are people going on each other's shows. We had it. Breitbart had it. Yeah, when it happens to the Young Turks, it's arrogant, it's rude, it's terrible that we did this, even though, according to Alex, they invited him on the show in the first place. Maybe there was some miscommunication, but let's just accept the fact that, you know, we crashed their show, and let's take a look at it from there. Well, Cenk Uygur really got triggered when Alex handed him this new T-shirt with Bill Clinton's face on it and the word rape. He snatched it from Alex. You can see the gnarling look in his face. He started to get aggressive at that very point, which is interesting because his comeback was, oh, Donald Trump, there's an allegation of rape against Donald Trump for being at a Jeffrey Epstein party. This came out in court, of course. There's no evidence whatsoever to back it up that Trump supposedly was engaged in this rape at a Jeffrey Epstein party. Complete and total bunk. So he's bringing this up to counter the claim that this T-shirt represents that Bill Clinton is a rapist. Well, if you want to look at Jeffrey Epstein and you want to look at Bill Clinton, Cenk, how about the fact that Clinton flew on a plane with the pedophile, with the sex trafficker, Jeffrey Epstein, 26 times? Okay, is that a strong enough connection for you? They called it the Lolita Express. This guy was caught trafficking underage children. Bill Clinton is on a plane with him 26 times. Just a coincidence. Why don't we look at the fact that even though everybody in Epstein's inner circle knew he was a pedophile, Clinton still chose to associate with him? Why don't we look at the fact that Virginia Roberts, who said she was pimped out by Epstein at the age of 15, claims that she saw Clinton on this supposed orgy island, this island where Epstein had all his underage sex parties. And this is not even to mention the entire litany, the history of Bill Clinton's long record of sexual assault. So Cenk Uygur is trying to make the argument that because there's this bunk claim backed up with no evidence that Trump raped somebody at a Jeffrey Epstein party, that that's the real issue, not the fact that Clinton was on a plane with Jeffrey Epstein 26 times. Okay, we can't talk about that. So that's the first aspect of this, because that's when he really began to get triggered. Then there was this back and forth between Cenk Uygur and Roger Stone. Of course, Uygur claiming that he's a liar. That went on for about a minute. Then it really got heated. That's the point at which Cenk Uygur completely escalated this so-called confrontation, because Alex basically said to them, he accused them of being soft on Saudi Arabia, that they weren't, as a network, critical enough of Saudi Arabia. That is the moment, and you can see in the video that we're playing, when Cenk got up, threw off his earpiece, bowed up to Alex, got in his face, started screaming, lost all his cool entirely, and, you know, claimed, oh yeah, we've called out Saudi Arabia. Now, let's be fair. You go on the Young Turks YouTube channel, which, by the way, is in decline. It's not growing anymore. Granted, they've got a huge audience, but you can see from the stats that it's on the wane. As Alex said during the confrontation, maybe this is one of the reasons why he got so heated. But I mean, let's be fair to them. They have called out Saudi Arabia on several occasions. What they haven't done is called out radical Islam. And in fact, the individual who subsequently, because he's so classy, you know, he's a liberal, he's got class, subsequently spat in Alex's face, he has been on the Young Turks network several times making apologies for radical Islam. This lame comedian, Jimmy Dore. He's been on the Young Turks network saying that the migrant rape, the mass sexual assault in Cologne wasn't really an issue, and that the real issue was the 1 in 5 rapes of women on US college campuses. Of course, which has been completely debunked. It's a fake statistic. So yes, the criticism is valid when directed towards the Young Turks, that they've been soft on radical Islam. After every single terror attack, they trot out the same lame BS, not all Muslims. They fail to call out the true problem, which is the violent and intolerant aspects of Islam that we've done many times. So that's a completely fair criticism. But at this point, Cenk got really aggressive, and you can see it in the clip. He begins to act like a complete lunatic. You know, these are the people who accuse Alex Jones of being angry and crazy. Yet this is the guy who's acting like a complete nutcase. Just look at the crazed look in his eyes as he bows up to Alex. You'll also notice, and we're going to get into this more after the break, the fact that they knew the optics of this looked so bad that they actually tried to censor the media getting it on tape. We're going to unpack this confrontation more after the break on the Alex Jones Show. Breaking news at Infowars.com.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, here's what happened with the Young Turks situation. It's way overshadowed by the epic speech of Donald Trump and his announcement of going after globalism and how we're about Americana and nationalism was totally and completely epic. But the Young Turks situation is important because it shows you how media works and how the future of internet censorship works, okay? It was a big open area with hundreds of booths. They had an official Google YouTube stage that was just a small area, and I walked by and they said, hey, you ought to go on the Young Turks. One of these Young Turk people I'd recognized from one of their crew. I've been on their show many times. I said, yeah, later I've got to go down here. I could have done 500 interviews. It wasn't like I needed to be on their show. I mean, they had national news, national TV. We were in hundreds of newspapers that day. We were all over TV, Fox, CNN, everywhere. But I know them, and I'm walking back by, and Leanne's like, hey, you really ought to go on. That guy's been waving you over. So they say, yeah, run up on stage. I run up on stage. Maybe Sinker, or whatever his name is, didn't know. But it doesn't matter. I'm like, hey, how's it going? Being friendly. I had just talked to Van Jones and been friendly. That video's up. I just talked to Charlie Rose and been friendly, even though I disagree with him. The big issue here is then after the confrontation happens and they spit on us and threaten to attack us and say, hey, you're going to get hurt and all this stuff, so we leave. It's just crazy threats. And you know, they're all about fat shaming, you know, not letting people have free speech, stopping people calling folks fat, then they call me fat, all this crazy, weird garbage when I'm way, way skinnier than Sinker or whatever his name is. Then, this is the key. This is the big issue. This is the big thing that we're dealing with. Suddenly, Dew later remembered that one of the YouTube people walked over and said, are you done uploading that? And Dew said, yeah, I'm about to finish. And the guy walked off. We go, do some more interviews, leave, go eat about an hour later, and boom, all our videos start getting taken down. The upload of that event that happened, our response to it, our response to that, our Don King interview starts getting pulled, and it just says removed. Not removed by user, not removed for terms of service violation, not for copyright strike. They were removing it in live time. They were at the YouTube Google base. They had YouTube people there. So we made a big deal out of that on Facebook, and a few hours later, they put the videos back up. But ladies and gentlemen, this is incredible to see these internet ghettos that Matt Drudge is warned about. Again, I'm walking through an airport right now, so bear with me. This is so incredibly important that we understand this is the model. There's a coup at Fox News happening right now. There's censorship of Milo. There's all this other censorship happening. They are moving this year, beta testing. They're admitting they want to get rid of the fairness doctrine and take talk radio over. They are making their move. This is so incredibly important. And then to just have this Sync guy blow up at us because I said, hey, Turkey's working with Saudi Arabia, that's wrong. He goes, that's crazy, all this stuff. He just hopes his pseudo-intellectual audience of fake liberals don't understand that he's full of garbage. But I'm not even out to get this guy. I've been on his show like 10 times or more. They play my clips all the time. We make jokes back and forth. And quite frankly, I never stage stuff, but they've said to me before, hey, let's get in a fight when you come on air. I'm like, okay, but don't take it personal. So it was a long relationship. They haven't had me on in years, so I think they've gotten butthurt. That's fine. But the point is that that's one of the few places where it's not staged, but they say, hey, we're going to be a little bit mean to you. Is that okay? You're like, yeah, I'm going to yell back at you. It's not personal. So everybody just kind of agrees. We're going to spar. We're going to get nasty. So basically, that's how I got set up. And he may not even have known. Or maybe somebody was provocateur, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The point is that we had more media interviews than we could do. And they were trying to spin it that we were somehow desperately, trying to take over their show. And we're exploding. We're the zeitgeist. We're all over the newspapers. We're all over everywhere. They're chanting Hillary for president on the floor of the deal. And the mainstream media is admitting we're dominating. And this guy is spinning everything like, oh, we need their little show. I mean, listen, and they're Muslims, too. Why doesn't she wear a burqa on TV? You know? Why doesn't she talk about how they're oppressing women over there instead of saying Americans are oppressing women when we're the West? I'm sick of it. I want Muslim women to be free and be able to wear a red dress like she wears. But look, these people don't have the moral high ground. They're not real liberals. And I'm done playing games. And to Google and everybody else, if you want to join Facebook and the censorship and everything, you're just going to hurt your own platforms. But we're going to force you out in the open for everybody to know you are censoring. They did it to Milo yesterday, worldwide live ban on Twitter. All right, back to Paul Joseph Watson, David Knight, and the rest of the crew. That's my statement on what happened. This affects everybody. They can bring me down. They can bring you down. Stay with us.
So there's Alex Jones on his confrontation with the Young Turks. And again, he made the point, which is what they're claiming in the aftermath, as are all their supporters, that they have the moral high ground. That's how they're trying to spin it, that they were rudely interrupted and they stood up for their beliefs. Listen, you don't have the moral high ground. Why did your staffers attempt to block the media from filming this confrontation? You can see this in the article. I tweeted it out, the screenshot. One of the Young Turks staffers, right at the moment after Cenk Uygur gets up and starts bowing up to Alex, starts getting aggressive, starts getting this crazed look in his face. One of their staffers gets up on the table in between the cameras and where Alex and Cenk Uygur are having the confrontation and lifts his T-shirt up at the shoulders to try and create a screen between the cameras and the confrontation. He then invites another Young Turk staffer to get up on the table and do the same thing. So if you have the moral high ground, and this is you standing up to this arrogant, rude ambush and asserting your beliefs, your principles, why are you trying to block the media from filming it? Well, because it was obvious what was happening. Cenk Uygur completely overreacted. He lost his temper like a triggered little child, and he went absolutely nuts. And it didn't look good, which is why they were trying to block the media from filming it. And to top it all off, this lame comedian, Jimmy Dore, who went on the Young Turks previously and downplayed the migrant molestation in Cologne, said, oh, it's basically nothing. The more important thing to focus on was the 1 in 5 American women raped on college campuses. Completely bogus, doesn't exist, not a thing. Again, he's an apologist for Islam. He gets up there as this confrontation is ending, actually as it's winding down, takes a huge glug of water and spits directly in Alex's face. Because that's how liberals debate, because they're real classy. And the aftermath, all his supporters on Twitter, and I retweeted this, were celebrating the fact that he spat in Alex's face. Like that won him the debate. Like he stood up for the sacred principles of the Young Turks, that means they have the moral high ground. Okay, reverse it. If Leanne or Joe Biggs, by the end of this confrontation, had took a huge glug of water and spat directly in Cenk Uygur's face, how would they have responded? Well, of course, we would have been absolutely crucified. But this lame comedian, this rape apologist, gets up and does it, and it's no big deal. It's funny. Again, it's one rule for them and another for us. They get to act like adolescent brats having temper tantrums They get to be aggressive. They get to spit in people's faces, and it's trendy. That's them asserting their moral high ground. But if we do it, we're hateful, we're dangerous, we're bigoted. And look at some of the media reaction to this. I mean, RT put out an article, and, you know, generally RT is good on geopolitics. That's their primary use. But they've kind of got this identity crisis